So I just
Okay, yeah.
you know. So here's the other thing. What it costs to trade for A.J. Brown, I think, just went up.
Went up.
What it costs to trade for him.
Oh,
because
sure.
the contract is now a better value.
Yeah.
You know, I think my team drafting a wide receiver at 9 likelihood just went up. Because if top receivers, Patrick Mahomes makes 45. If the top receivers are making 43, then the value you get on Tate, you know, if Carnell Tate's there, and I think getting a deal done with George Pickens just got that much harder.
I love the domino effect. I absolutely love it. This is precisely why the Eagles have always been known for locking up their players sooner rather than later. They understand that these contracts age significantly better, and the risk is almost always worth the reward. Trading for an A.J. Brown was always going to be an unbelievable value for whichever team landed him. And that's why I keep hammering home the point that the Eagles hold all the leverage. They hold every bit of it. And patience? That only works in their favor and reinforces that leverage. Think about it. People were saying they needed to move A.J. Brown last season. Right in the middle of the year, the talk was get rid of him before the trade deadline. Even Nick himself was like, I bet the Eagles regret not doing it. Yet his stock just keeps climbing. The Trent McDuffie trade, the Jalen Waddle trade, the DJ Moore trade, JSN's extension, every single one of these moves only increases A.J. Brown's value. Just by virtue of other teams making moves, you strip away any conversation about what his current worth is in terms of draft capital. When you see the Broncos grabbing Waddle, the Bills landing DJ Moore, there's this feeling across the league that everyone else is improving. And that puts pressure on the teams that haven't made their splash yet. The price isn't going down. It's only going up. That's a pretty great spot to be in if you're the Philadelphia Eagles. Works out quite nicely for them. There are so many fascinating paths this A.J. Brown situation could take, whether he gets traded or not. I've said it a lot, but it's because every time I post a video or scroll through anything online, I keep seeing a near 50-50 split. Half the people say he's being traded, half say he's not. I put up a video over the weekend where people were claiming A.J. Brown had already been secretly dealt, apparently to the New England Patriots, but it just wasn't being announced until after June. Here's what I find interesting about that. Let's say there's some truth to it. Is it actually locked in? Like, they've agreed on a first-round pick and whatever else, and they're just waiting? Or is there still room for the price to go up? I wonder how many teams are sitting there thinking, we need to be aggressive here. We know Denver is out of the running for a trade. New England is obviously at the top of the list. Then you start looking at some intriguing teams, and that's where you have to figure out draft capital. Jacksonville just gave up some capital, so you have to consider what teams are willing to do to get a deal done. Jacksonville is interesting. Houston is interesting. I think even though Buffalo made the moves they made, I still think a trade could be on the table. It would be ultra-aggressive, the money would be complicated, and it's obviously not a low-cost move. The Chargers are definitely super interesting. Indianapolis, probably tight on cash and their own draft capital situation. Baltimore, undeniably, absolutely, positively, is an opportunity. They kept their draft capital, and if they were seriously, legitimately going all in, they would trade those picks for A.J. Brown. I totally see that as a possibility. Miami? No. Cincinnati doesn't make sense. Tennessee doesn't make sense. Cleveland, Las Vegas, the New York Jets? Maybe. Tennessee again, probably not, but I could see a scenario where they say, we want a veteran wide receiver. Again, probably unlikely, but it's thought-provoking. Obviously not Seattle. Chicago, hard to imagine. Philadelphia, well, obviously not. Carolina would be interesting. The Los Angeles Rams were reportedly legitimately interested. San Francisco isn't in the mix. Green Bay, I don't think so. Minnesota? No. Detroit? No. Tampa Bay just lost Mike Evans, but I don't see why they'd do that unless they truly believe they can win a Super Bowl. And at that point, I'd say, alright, if you want to live in your delusions, go ahead. Atlanta could make a play. Dallas is obviously off the table. New Orleans, unlikely, but technically possible. Washington? New York? No. Arizona, at that point, I don't even know why you'd give up capital for him. Here's what I find interesting. There is absolutely, positively this huge belief, specifically in the media, and it's split among fans, but with the media it seems like they're all on board that AJ Brown is getting traded. And this isn't just coming from the Nick Wrights and the Broussards of the world, but also from people whose job it is to know this kind of information, the Adam Schefters of the world. So that seems to be the prevailing idea. Whether it's true or not isn't really the point of this conversation. But what I find interesting is that at this point, outside of the New England Patriots, there doesn't feel like there's a high level of momentum or concrete volume around any other team. We're not hearing things like, "We know the Chargers and the Patriots really want AJ Brown." That's not the conversation being fed to us. And I do find that interesting. Now look, the Eagles are notoriously quiet. They move in silence. But other teams? Not necessarily. So piecing it together, going on this little treasure hunt to separate truth from fiction, is tricky right now. Which then makes me think about something. On one hand, if a deal was already done behind the scenes with New England, other teams would know. That's just how it works. And if other teams know, and if someone like Julian Edelman knows, it would leak out. You'd hear something. Someone would talk to the Chargers organization, Albert Breer would get wind of it, and he'd report that an anonymous GM told him it's pretty much known AJ Brown is going to New England. But we're not really hearing any of that from genuinely trustworthy sources. So that's another piece I find interesting. The conversation and energy around it have clearly slowed down a bit, yet everyone still believes it's happening, just after June 1st or whatever that date is. And if that's the case, you're going to be in a situation where the price keeps going up. So yeah, I'd love it if AJ Brown gets traded. I'd really love for him to go to a team. I'd love to see him in a spot like Arizona, honestly. I'd love to see him in Tampa Bay. I'd love to see him with the New York Jets. I'd love to see him in Cleveland. Oh my God, please. Let's see Shedeur Sanders throwing to AJ Brown. Those are the kinds of things I want to see. And the thing is, I don't think Philly is going to move him unless they legitimately get the best offer on the table. And it doesn't feel like that offer is coming from genuine contenders. Denver just made a move. The Raiders are up and coming. The Chiefs are going to be interesting. That's why I look at a team like the Chargers. Are they going to take a swing here? Because if the Patriots get better, and the Broncos get better, and the Ravens get better, and all these other teams get better, and it feels like the Chargers don't, outside of their offensive line, and they lost their defensive coordinator, I don't know. I'm just wondering. That's the other thing. Post June 1st, for Howie to get what he wants, unless the Patriots already gave an awesome deal, a true handshake agreement, just waiting to make it official, and it's two great franchises trusting each other, which makes total sense and is absolutely on the table. If that's not the case, if it's still up in the air, then no team is going to be aggressively negotiating right now until after June 1st. And then Howie can't use that leverage to get teams to outbid themselves. If you want him before June 1st, you better make an amazing offer to make it financially worthwhile. If not, then we'll see what happens. The draft also has the potential to either elevate or downgrade AJ Brown's situation. And there's also the benefit that some people don't think Jalen Hurts is a great quarterback, so they reason, look what AJ Brown has been able to do. With Hurts, imagine what he'd do with Baker Mayfield. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you all think now, after JSN's 4-year, $168.6 million deal? That actually helps AJ Brown's trade value even more, which in turn helps the Philadelphia Eagles. Let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment. Whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get into some discussions. Let's get into some debates. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you be part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing that. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, it really does help with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.